Good morning, guys. This is our first lesson in the probability unit, and we're just going to be trying to identify probabilities using a two-way table, which you did actually do in middle school. So really quick couple of questions as a do now. If you answer 32 questions correct out of 45 questions, what is your grade in percent, right? So this is exactly how I score your quizzes and your exams. 32 divided by 45 is 0.71 repeating. I would multiply it by 100, and that would give us a 71% score. What is the percent chance of rolling a 4 on a fair 6-sided die? So that would be 1 out of 6. There's only one 4 on a fair 6-sided die. And if we converted that to a decimal, we would get 0.16 repeating, but it does say percent, so we're going to multiply that by 100, and it's about a 16.6 repeating percent. Didn't say what to round to, so we'll just keep it in that way. So some vocabulary that's going to pop up, or you're going to hear me say, of course we're talking about probability. So that's the likelihood of an event occurring. So the number of times the event occurs over the total trials. We're going to be looking at two-way tables today. We're going to be looking at rows and columns, and might be silly, but it is a common mistake for students to misinterpret what a row is and what a column is. So row, when we're talking about a row, we're looking horizontally. And when we're talking about a column, we are looking vertically. All right, so you want to make sure your directions are good. One of the first tasks you could have is to actually fill in a two-way table provided with certain values. So we always want to make sure that in our two-way table that there is a row total and a column total as well. And so based off of some information, this would have to be 60 right here, right? 40 plus 60 is 100. This would have to be 10. 20 plus 10 is 30. Going into the physics column right here, this would have to be 10 right here, right? 10 plus 30 is 40, and then we could go to the rows. So it looks like this would have to be 10, 10 and 10 and 20 is 40. And it looks like this would have to be a 20, 30, 20, and 10 is 60. And finally, we need to get to 100. So it looks like this would also have to be 30, 40, 30, 30 would add up to be 100. Okay, so this might be a task that we have to do. Okay, so this is our second page. Conditional probability. So conditional probabilities are not based on the whole population, but rather a specific subgroup within the whole population that is represented by a row total or a column total. So we don't have anything to fill in on our two-way table here. All of the values are given, and the totals in the column and row are also given. So everything is sort of set up for us. Suppose that a randomly selected person is a female, right? So this is your subgroup. Right? And your subgroup is going to tell you what your denominator should be. So in this example, our denominator is not going to be the total 39 people. It's actually going to just be the quantity of females. So if you look at the female row, we have a total of 15 females. So right away, I know that I'm going to be putting some value over 15. What is the probability that the selected person uses Instagram, right? So of those females, how many use Instagram? And it's 6. Unless otherwise noted, typically you're going to leave your probability as a fraction and unsimplified. So we're just going to leave it just like that. How would we interpret the conditional relative frequency? Now when you're asked to interpret it's best to now convert that to a percent. So when we take 6 and we divide it by 15, we get 0.4. And if we times it by 100, it is equivalent to 40%. So what does this 40% represent in the context of the question, right? So, wording doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but you do have to be careful when you worry about this. So what does this 40% chance really mean in terms of words, right? So what it really means is if we select a female, there is a 40% chance that female uses Instagram. So notice I didn't say that there's a 40% chance of selecting a female. If we select a female, meaning that was like the prerequisite of those females, there is a 40% chance that the female uses Instagram. So really, really be careful of your wording there. Model 3, suppose that a randomly selected person uses Snapchat, right? So once again, this is indicating our subgroup. And in terms of probability, that's going to tell us what our denominator should be. So right away, I'm going up to my two-way table, and I notice that there are a total of 22 people using Snapchat, right? So I'm going to record my denominator. What is the probability that the selected person is a male? So of those Snapchat users, 13 of them are male. So 13 out of 22. Okay. What is the probability that a randomly selected person is a female given they use Snapchat? So given is a really, really important word. Whatever comes after the word given is your subscript. Your subgroup, So again, whatever comes after the word given is your subgroup. It's sort of like the prerequisite information. Well, what has to happen first? Well, they have to use Snapchat, right? So that's going to tell us what our denominator is going to be. So notice that we didn't even look at the females yet, right? We're only focusing on the information right after the word given. So we need to figure out how many Snapchat users there were, and there were a total of 22. What is the probability that a randomly selected person is a female given they use Snapchat, right? So there were 9 females who used Snapchat. So questions 3 and 4 were very similar, but they were worded differently, right? So question 3 didn't really use the word given because they came out and said what the subgroup is. Question 4 used the word given, and again, whatever directly comes after the word given is going to tell you what your subgroup is. Number 5. What is the probability that a randomly selected person does not use social media given they are male? So once again, that word given is really important. Whatever comes after the word given is your subgroup, right? So how many males did we have in our population? We had a total of 24 males. Of those 24 males, we're searching to select a person that does not use social media, right? So of those 24 males, two of them do not use social media. So final answer is 2 out of 24. What is the probability that a randomly selected person is a male and uses Facebook? So the wording is a little bit different in here. First of all, the word given is not being used. So let's think about what is the probability that a randomly selected person happens to be a male and uses Facebook, right? So in the wording of this question, the subgroup that we're going to use is actually the entire population, 39. Of those 39 people, right, we want to select male and uses Facebook, right? So male and uses Facebook, well, there was only one fit that category, right? Male and Facebook. So final answer here is 1 out of 39. What is the probability that a randomly selected person uses Instagram or Snapchat, right? So now we're just getting back to randomly selecting a person. Didn't specify females or males or anything of that. So once again, we're going to be over 39. And the word or would imply that it could be Instagram or Snapchat. Doesn't have to be both. So back to our table, there were a total of 14 Instagram users, and there was a total of 22 Snapchat users. So our numerator is going to be 14 plus 22, which would give us 36 out of 39. And one more for this two-way table. Suppose that a randomly selected person is a male. Okay, so we're going back to that language. So we're not going to be over 39 anymore. We are going to be over the total number of males, which going back to our two-way table would be 24. What is the probability that the selected person uses Snapchat or no social media? Okay, so we are male. I had to look back here. Snapchat or no social media. Okay, so again, we're not looking at the total column, right? Because our subgroup is males. So there were 13 males that used Snapchat, and there were 2 that did not use social media. And again, we had the or, so that would imply that we would combine those values. So 13 plus 2, which would lead us to a final answer of 15 over 24. Okay? I would like you to practice model number 9, and I'm going to make a separate video to go over the final answer on number 9.